Hey guys, today we are doing one of my favorite types of videos. I'm going to be testing out your top makeup tips and techniques. I asked you guys on my YouTube community tab to share with me those makeup tips that completely changed your makeup routine for the better. I've done a couple of these videos on my channel in the past. I guess I'll go ahead and make a playlist because I think this is just going to be a recurring series. I've discovered so many amazing tips from you guys, and this video is no exception. This is the makeup look that I ended up with. This is one of my favorite looks that I've done in a long time. I had so much fun, and I think we have some definite keepers in this video. You guys shared a lot of amazing tips that I think I'm going to take with me forever. Before we get into the makeup, I do want to thank today's sponsor, which is Skillshare. I've been working with Skillshare for the past, I want to say the past year. I feel like it's been almost a year now that I've been using Skillshare. It's an online learning platform where you can find thousands of online courses in all kinds of subjects. Skillshare has been such an incredible resource for me. I've taken classes in so many different areas now. I've taken a photography class, a video editing class, a personal finance class, and most recently I took a class in makeup because they have makeup classes on there too. Recently I've been very interested in just leveling up my makeup skills and learning more about makeup theory. So I found a class on Skillshare about color theory for makeup, specifically eyeshadows. It's taught by Mira Metzler. She's a mixed media artist. I love how this course was laid out. It was super concise, but I learned a ton about color theory, how to pick the right colors to coordinate with your eye color. Funnily enough, today I completely went against her advice and used a color that matches my eye color, or like is close to my eye color, which isn't really what she recommends if you want to make your eye color pop. And she shows you how to actually create a color wheel of any eyeshadow palette where you can map out where every single color in a palette would land by swatching them on a sheet of paper. So cool. I want to try this with all of my palettes now, but it helps you see which colors in a palette are complementary and how to create a really flattering eye look and how to pick colors that go together. Even though I had a little bit of background knowledge of color theory, I felt like I learned so much in this class, and I highly recommend it if you are also interested in learning more about this topic. So if you are interested in checking out Skillshare, the first 1,000 of you to use my link down below will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare, 1 month where you can take as many classes on Skillshare as you want. So might as well take advantage if you've been thinking about it. Thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video, and let's go ahead and test out your makeup tips. You guys already saw the finished makeup look. I haven't seen it yet. So hopefully this goes well. So the first tip that was shared, it's actually 2 different tips that I'm going to try out on either side of my face, and both of these suggested using face primers on the under eyes to help avoid creasing. Annika said pore filling primer specifically placed underneath under eye concealer helps keep the concealer from settling into fine lines or getting cakey. And then Erin suggested using an e.l.f. gripping primer underneath the eyes before concealer. So I'm going to try both of those because I do have an e.l.f. gripping primer, the Jelly Pop primer, and I also have a pore filling primer also from e.l.f. So we're going to try both of these on the under eyes. I don't think I've ever tried this before, so I'm very interested to see how this does. So we'll do the poreless primer on this side of my face. A little of this goes a long way, so I just took a little bit on my finger there, and I'm just gonna tap that in. And for the gripping primer, I'm not gonna put these primers on the rest of my face because I just wanna see how they affect my under eyes specifically. So I'm just taking, I might have even gotten too much. Just gonna tap that in. This is the e.l.f. Jelly Pop Dew Primer, which they don't make anymore, but I've heard that this is similar to the Power Grip Primer from e.l.f. So, okay, I'm excited. I love this Jelly Pop Primer all over my face. I do find that it has a nice, not only gripping effect, but I feel like it's pretty smoothing as well. So you can see right off the bat, the Jelly Pop Primer does have a dewier finish on this under eye, and the Poreless Putty Primer kind of flattened out this under eye quite a bit, just being that it's a smoothing primer. So I'm gonna let those primers on my under eyes set into place a little bit. I like to give primers a few minutes to just kind of sink in before I go over them with product. So in the meantime, I'm going to try a few other tips that were shared. The next tip came from Megan, and she recommended spot concealing before foundation. I know I've heard this tip before, and I don't know if I've tried it, at least not in recent years. I'm not normally big on spot concealing, but I do have some breakouts going on right now. I am trying to use up this concealer, so I have been spot concealing a little bit more than usual lately. So I'm just going to apply this to those spots. So I'm gonna blend this out with a brush. I'm gonna try not to blend these in too much because we are going over it with foundation in just a moment. So I'm trying to blend out the edges, but not really blending on top of the blemish itself because I don't want to take away the coverage. So I'm just blending out the edges so it's not like a cakey spot. And this is the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer, by the way, that I'm using. So the next base tip before I do my under eye concealer, I'm really excited to try this. So this one came from Gabrielle, and she said to apply your foundation with a brush, then mist your face with a hydrating spray, then tap over that with a sponge, and then set the face with powder. And she said that this method helps your makeup stay on all day. So I'm using my Urban Decay Hydromaniac foundation, which is in my project pan. Been using this a lot lately. So I'm just dotting that foundation around with my fingers. And then let's use, this is a good foundation brush that's clean. This is the e.l.f. Ultimate Blending Brush. I'm just gonna stipple this in. Once again, I don't want to disrupt the spot concealing that I did. I do like brushes because they maintain more coverage than sponges do. Sponges do tend to sheer out foundations more, but the thing with brushes is I feel like I don't usually get as natural of a finish, so I like that this technique combines both a brush and a sponge. And I sometimes will blend out my foundation with a brush first and then tap over it with a sponge, but I'm really interested to see how the setting spray will affect this. Well, the coverage is looking awesome. The closest thing I have to a hydrating mist right now is the Revolution Fix and Glow Dewy Finish Setting Spray. Gabrielle said that she likes to use the Milk Makeup one. Setting spray is on, and now I am taking my damp sponge and tapping over that. Oh, I guess I should probably have done my concealer before I did the sponge. All right, we'll do the concealer real quick. Same concealer as before, e.l.f. Hydrating Camo. I didn't mean to apply that much, so I'm gonna use my sponge instead of a brush because I think I will get plenty of coverage with the amount that I just applied. Okay, I have to say I really like the way that my base is looking. It looks smooth. It doesn't look dry or cakey. I feel like the spot concealing on this side still looks good, but over here I do feel like I lost some of the coverage somehow. Maybe it's in my head, but I do feel like with all the blending that I was doing, I might have lifted up a little bit of the coverage either with my sponge or my brush. I was trying to just tap over it gently, but I'm going to set my face in just a moment, but I do want to take a look at my under eyes also. So far, I am noticing less creasing on the side with the Poreless Putty Primer, a little bit more creasing on the Jelly Pop Primer side. By the way, this under eye circle is a little bit more pronounced than this one just naturally, but I'm liking the way this one looks just in terms of how smoothed out it looks. So here's an up close look at my under eyes. This side with the Poreless Putty Primer, I am noticing significantly less creasing than this side, and I haven't set them yet, but I just wanted you to get a good look. You see that? Okay, all right, so next I'm just going to go over my face with a setting powder, my Kosas Cloud Set, like always. There were so many great tips that I wanted to try them all, but I didn't want to have too many variables going on all at once so that we could like adequately test these, but I definitely plan to continue this series as long as you guys are enjoying it. We can do more in the future. Okay, another tip that I thought was genius for setting your face around your smile lines if you have issues with your foundation creasing into your smile lines. This tip came from Kaylin Alexis. Blow up the face like a puffer fish to set those smile lines, which I thought was genius. I'm always getting foundation settling into my smile lines like no matter what. So I look so silly. All right, well, I love that tip. That makes so much sense. Whenever I set my under eyes, I like to make sure that I look up so that my fine lines smooth out so that I can get the powder on there evenly, not have a bunch of creases that aren't getting powdered. So it makes total sense to puff up that area. I love that tip. I'm going to keep using that for sure. All right, so here's an interesting one from Jamie Lee. Jamie Lee Curtis, is that you? I'm just kidding. And Jamie says applying translucent powder into the brows My brow pencil applies way easier and lasts longer. I've never thought to do this. So I'm gonna use my loose setting powder. This is a translucent powder from e.l.f., the Halo Glow. All right, so I'm just taking this sort of angled brush. This is the BK Beauty 205. Just gonna pick some up. Let me brush through my brows real quick because they're looking kind of wonky. Wow, it's amazing what a little spoolie can do. All right, I'm just dusting it through. Wow, it isn't giving my brows any sort of white cast, so that's good. I don't really, well, I do have a brow pencil, but I don't really love it. It's the Essence Brow Designer. It's okay, but it's just the shade is a little off, but I guess I'll try this. You have to kind of warm this pencil up. Actually, I don't want to use this. I changed my mind. I don't like the tone of it in my brows. It just doesn't look good. I have the shade Blonde, and it's just a little bit too warm. I'm gonna use my Dip Brow Pomade, which I feel like is similar to filling your brows in with a pencil. It's just a different mechanism. Ooh, I do kind of feel like it's going in smoother. With the Essence Brow Pencil, it's hard to tell because it is kind of a stiff pencil. Once again, it might be all in my head, but I do feel like it's doing something. I'm actually gonna skip any sort of brow gel today. I just ran out of my clear brow gel, and I just want to see how well this lasts without any brow gel, since I did the translucent powder trick. But I feel like it's looking more blended, like right off the bat as I apply it. I guess I should add a little bit of the Essence Brow Pencil over here just to even out the color on both sides. Okay, I am getting a little bit of creasing here in the smile line. I think it's just kind of like under eye creasing. It's just not possible to totally avoid. If you have fine lines there and you're talking and smiling and, you know, living your life, product is going to gather there. But you know what? I just realized next time I should try putting a little bit of the Poreless Putty Primer over that smile line too, because it absolutely helped prevent creasing on my under eye. I'm sure of that. Last time, one of your tips was to bring your blush up to the under eyes, and I have been doing it ever since. I loved that tip. I don't put it all across my under eyes, but mainly just out here. Basically just place my blush up higher than I used to, almost where you would apply highlighter. I feel like it lifts the face so much. And then another tip that I learned from you guys, wow, I've implemented so many of your tips, I'm realizing, but I think it was in the very first video like this that I did. I'll link all my previous videos in this series below. But the tip was to just apply your highlighter in line with the outer corner of your eye. I really don't bring it onto my cheeks at all. I mean, the brush is fluffy, so some of the bristles are gonna hit right here, but I don't want any highlighter any further in than right here. So I just focus my brush in this spot and just swirl it around, buff it in, and I like that because when you look at me head on, you don't see this frosty highlight emphasizing my pores right here, but when I turn my head, it's like, ooh. And also, my pro tip to you is to use a fluffy brush like this for your highlighter. I'll never go back to a small highlighter brush again. The bronzer I used was the Milani Sun-Kissed Bronzer, Essence the blush in Befitting, and Becca highlight in Champagne Pop. All right, the last face makeup tip before we get into the eyes is from Christine. She said, drawing my beauty marks back on with a tiny detail brush and brown powder after my makeup is done. I have 9 to 10 beauty marks on my face, so it makes a noticeable difference in how natural my base looks. I do have one beauty mark on my face, and it's right here. It's not very dark, but it's always been there, at least as long as I can remember. So I think that will be good. And then I've also heard, this was from a tip from Kelly Gooch, is to turn any like pimples that you have on your face into a beauty mark. So maybe I'll try that with one of my many pimples that I have right now. But let's see, I'm gonna dip into, I'm trying to decide what brown I should use because I don't have dark beauty marks. I guess I'm kind of thinking rustic here from Soft Glam would be good. Let's see. Ooh, okay. It looks a little dark. I think it's a little too dark for me, for how fair I am. Let me just take a little bit of translucent powder to just soften it a bit. I'm not brushing it over, I'm just kind of patting it in. Okay, that helped. That looks much more natural. That's cute. Okay, let's do one more. Would that be a cute one? I feel like this zit is too big. I don't want to draw attention to it. What about right here? I have a little bump right there, but it's not like a huge zit. Yeah, let's try that. Alright, I'm going over that with translucent powder too. I think I might go for a lighter brown powder next time, but I'm liking the overall effect here. This is cute. I've done faux freckles and I like that, but this is a little bit different. It's a little bit more, I feel like faux freckles give a very youthful, sun-kissed look, whereas I think the beauty mark technique gives you a little bit more of like an elegant, almost old Hollywood look. I'm thinking of like Marilyn Monroe. From Andy Stacy, dark eyeshadow stick as a base for duo or multi-chrome shadows. It intensifies the shift so much. Okay, I've heard this tip before. I want to use an eyeliner instead, which basically works the same way. I'm going to use the Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On Eye Pencil in Overdrive. So I'm just going to go all over the lid with this. And I'm thinking I want to use one of my multi-chromes from my custom Lethal Cosmetics palette. All done. All right, blending that with a dense crease pencil brush. It's kind of a cross between a crease brush and a pencil brush. I think this eyeliner is a good formula for this kind of thing because it's so creamy that you can work with it. It doesn't like set into place too quickly. Okay, so the shade I'm going to use over that is this one right here. This is, what is this called? This is the shade Genesis from Lethal Cosmetics. This is what it looks like just on its own. Let's see what it looks like over this base. Ooh. It's really bringing out the pink shift, actually. I like that. That is so pretty. Okay, I need to blend this some more. Trying to figure out if I should use any other shadows to blend this out at all, or I'm not sure. I mean, this eyeliner stick is working pretty well. It's just a standalone shadow. I almost want to just leave it at that, like those two shades. Call it done. I'm just sweeping around the edges with my Kosas Cloud Set powder. Okay, I am seriously impressed with the dimension here. Like, it looks like I'm wearing way more than 2 shadows on my eyes, but really I'm only wearing the eyeliner stick and the multi-chrome shadow, and it looks like I have like at least 4 different shades on my eyes. I'm gonna use this shade here, this mint green, for my inner corner highlight. Here's yet another tip that I learned from you guys. I think this tip originally came from Allie Glines, but sweeping your inner corner highlight shade up into this region, I feel like, at least on my eye shape, it does something. I'm picking up a little bit more of this eyeliner stick on that same brush that I used to blend it out, and I'm just going to softly bring a little bit more definition. I'm just trying to make this whole thing symmetrical on either side, so I'm just basically touching up here. I'm actually going to use my black liquid liner for once. I haven't used this in a long time because I've just been more on a brown eyeliner kick, but I think a black liner is going to look better with this eye look. So this is the Essence 24 Ever Ink Liner. I don't recommend this. I don't like it. The tip of it is annoying to work with. I'm taking whatever's left on this brush and smudging it across my lower lash line. Just whatever is left of this Urban Decay pencil. I might take a little bit more for this side. I want it to be very soft, but smudgy. Alright, for my lips, I'm going to go for a pinky brown nude combo. I'm going to use my CoverGirl lipstick in Honeyed Bloom because it's a more pinky nude, and I think it'll tie in well with the pink in the eyeshadow look. But I am going to use my Kokie lip liner in Nude, which is more of a brownish nude. This is the perfect nude. Alright, next with the lipstick. I'm just focusing this in the center of the lip. Well, that just might be one of my favorite makeup looks that I've done in a long time. I can't stop staring at the eyeshadow specifically. I feel like every single one of these tips was a hit for me. I definitely want to keep practicing with the beauty marks. I'm playing around with different shades and undertones of powder to figure out what looks best on me. I'm not sure I love this placement here, but this one looks good, especially just because I naturally have a beauty mark there. It just looks more natural. And going back to the base, I feel like my base looks pretty incredible. I didn't apply any smoothing primer or anything, but it almost looks like I did in this area right here. So I think that method of applying foundation is a winner. Yeah, I'm just really pleased with how this came out. Thank you so much for sharing your amazing tips with me. And thank you again to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. If you want to take advantage of that free trial, the link is down below. And thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And hopefully I will talk to you again very soon in my next video. Bye.